I'm Matt Berry with your latest ESPN.com headline. College football season just over a month away, and one player getting Heisman hype is South Carolina defensive end Clowney. In fact, Clowney is getting top overall pick in the NFL draft type discussion, which means agents will be lining up to sign them. One of them, newly formed Rock Nation Sports and Jay-Z. Clowney and Jay-Z have had contact, but was it illegal? For answers, we go to ESPN.com's national college football writer, Travis Haney. Travis, South Carolina's compliance department looked into this. What was the outcome?
Well, they confirmed Wednesday afternoon that they had, in fact, checked into it to see if it was permissible, and then by Thursday they satisfied whatever constraints or whatever they needed to look into and said that it was no big deal. Everything was legal, and whatever contact they had was okay. So evidently it wasn't that big of a deal. And frankly, Matt, I don't know if we're talking about it if it isn't Clowney and it isn't Jay-Z. I mean, it's just kind of two big names together that wind up making it a story.
Okay, having said that, and you kind of alluded to the next question, with a player that has a profile this big, a name like Jay-Z, how important is it that Clowney stays away from these type of distractions to keep himself in South Carolina out of trouble?
Well, I think it's tough. I mean, with a guy that has had this sort of hype for years now. I mean, he was the #1 overall prospect even out of high school. So he's now dealt with this for 3 years, and it's really just escalated after the hit that won him the ESPY just last week. So, you know, things aren't changing. They're continuing to go up for Clowney, and that's not going to change until the draft, really. So when I talked with Steve Spurrier earlier in the week when he was in Bristol, we talked about this, and he said that he had warned all his guys, not just Clowney, but all his players, that agents were going to be around and they were going to be throwing cash and things at him, and they had to be smart about it. And he seemed really sure that Clowney understood that, and he said that he had a quiet summer. So even when I heard that this was a possibility, that they'd had some contact, based on what Spurrier said, you had to believe this wasn't too big of a deal.
Now, Steve Spurrier has been around the block. He's had star players going back to his days at Florida and now again at South Carolina. Is his experience perfect for a guy like Clowney? What kind of role can Steve Spurrier play maybe as a mentor in this situation, knowing that everybody's going to want a piece of Clowney?
Yeah, you and I both know Steve a little bit from being in that market. He's a laid-back guy. He's a straight shooter. And I think what I just said, that he tries to make his players aware of what's out there and just level with them and say, here's what's going to happen, and doesn't ignore the reality that there are agents, that there are people pulling on a lot of his players, not just someone as high-profile as Clowney. So I think awareness is a key part of it, and just being realistic and honest with his players. And it sounds like he's done that, and it sounds like so far, to this point, Clowney and the other guys are doing what they're supposed to do.
Clowney in South Carolina coming off an 11-win season. Our national college football writer Travis Haney with the latest on Jadeveon and Jay-Z. For all of your college football news, keep it here on ESPN.com. I'm Matt Berry.